The pop culture world has just got really friggin' spicy. Charli XcX has come out and is basically being labelled as a brat. Kind of ironic because that was the name of her most recent and most successful album. You've also got Tate McRae, who's been labelled as racist. And then you've also got Katy Perry feuding over that infamous space travel. She's been roasted by the world for that, and it's insane. So we're gonna break it all down and I'll give you the rundown. We're gonna start off with Tate McRae. So Tate McRae obviously is an international superstar and singer, right? And she's known for her hits like It's Okay, I'm Okay, and she's recently faced backlash over her announced collaboration with country artist Morgan Wallen on his upcoming album I'm the Problem. Now, this on the surface seems absolutely fine, until you kind of start to dig deep into Wallen's past controversies. So, Wallen is a polarizing figure due to his history of controversies, most notably in 2021 with an incident where he was recorded using a racial slur, the N-word, in a casual conversation, which led to widespread condemnation and temporary industry blacklisting. He also faced legal issues, including arrests for public intoxication, DUIs, and reckless endangerment, for example, throwing a chair off a 6-story rooftop bar in 2024. Now, McRae's decision to collaborate with him has sparked some serious accusations of aligning with someone associated with racist behavior, prompting fans to then label her actions as tone deaf or complicit. Now, many people are saying, like, you know, don't blame her, she's not guilty by association, but for many people, that's exactly what this is. This is guilt by association, and she is just as bad for a lot of fans as him in that sense. And you're going to come to learn why in just a moment because of her very vulnerable fan base. So, the backlash erupted with the track list for Wallen's upcoming album revealing Tate McRae's feature, shocking fans who saw her as a progressive pop artist. Now, social media, in particular X, lit up with disappointment with posts like, quote, Tate McRae collaborating with Morgan Wallen, I'm actually so disappointed in her right now, and another user laminating, under the Trump administration, Tate McRae collab with Morgan Wallen, I don't know how much more I can take. Now, critics argue that Tate McRae, who has built a career on appealing to a diverse young fan base, risked alienating them by associating with Wallen, whose actions have been widely criticised and perpetuating harmful stereotypes. The controversy wasn't about McRae herself making racist remarks, but it's about the perceived endorsement of Wallen's platform through a collaboration. But some fans, on the other hand, have defended McRae's by suggesting that the collaboration might be a strategic move to cross genres and boost her own career, especially given Wallen's commercial success despite his controversies. Others have speculated that she might not have fully grasped the implications, giving her a relative young age of 21 and rapid rise to fame. For a lot of people, though, that was not enough. And I think it's just one of those things that, you know, young pop stars have to try and navigate. Of course, they want to, you know, grow and develop their career, but at the same time, I guess it's all about who they collaborate with. So what do you guys make on that one? Let me know. But we're keeping in the theme of pop culture right now, as Charli XcX has basically been slammed as well on social media for quote-unquote entitled behavior. So let's kind of dive into that one and see where these claims have come from. So Charli XcX is riding high off of her 2024 album Brat and its cultural impact. She faced accusations of entitled behavior, though, and the specifics are less concrete than the other controversies that we're going to talk about in this video. The criticism seems to stem from her public persona and interactions, particularly during her Sweat tour with Troye Sivan, where she collaborated with artists like Kesha and Tate McRae, obviously with both of which are going to be mentioned quite heavily within this video. So, the quote entitled label appears to be a fan-driven narrative on social media, possibly tied to Charli's confident, unapologetic demeanor of her or her handling of tour logistics, collaborations, or media appearances. No specific incident, like a viral video or statement, is explicitly cited in the provided sources, suggesting that this may be a generalized perception rather than a single event. Now, some fans might interpret her bold party girl brat aesthetic, celebrating, hedonism and self-assurance as arrogance, especially when contrasted with her earlier, more underground persona. For example, her high-profile collaborations with Kesha and Tate McRae in LA. And media blitz might be seen as, quote, big-timing her roots as an indie pop artist. Another angle that could involve her is her outspokenness. Charli has been very vocal about the industry dynamics and her creative process, which might rub some fans or critics the wrong way if perceived as dismissive or potentially even self-important. Now, obviously, this one's a bit of a non-starter, but it's just kind of like the rumor mill doing what the rumor mill does best. A lot of people kind of jumping on the same bandwagon of saying, well, this is her persona now compared to then, and clearly this has all been a massive blow to her head, and she's just, really, exploded in terms of her online persona, when in actual fact, that may not necessarily be the case. She might just, that might just be her persona, which is a really interesting take. And again, it just goes to show that not everyone, no matter how beloved or not beloved you are, is not safe. But moving forwards, we've now got arguably one of the biggest things to happen in pop culture in 2025, and it's Katy Perry going into space in that all-women's mission. Now, obviously, this was kind of not doomed from the start, but a little bit doomed from the start. And the reason for that is because her comments before she went, people were asking her, why did she do this? Why is she going up into space? And she said it was for women empowerment and stuff like this, and it's to show that if you can dream it, you can do it. And a lot of people kind of saw that as a bit tone deaf, especially considering she's a multi-millionaire and she had the money and affordance to be able to go and do this mission, when, a lot of people would dream to do this, but will never attain that kind of, success that she's had. But let's move on to why, what's really gone on, especially around the Kesha and Wendy's controversy, which, by the way, Wendy's absolutely had her pants down. So this controversy centers around the public feud, which reignited Katy Perry's collaboration with producer Dr. Luke on her 2024 album 143, despite his history with Kesha, who has accused him of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse in 2014. The tension escalated in April of 2025 when Perry participated in an 11-minute Blue Origin spaceflight promoting shade from Wendy's and Kesha. So, let's talk about the background on Dr. Luke. So, Kesha in 2014 filed a lawsuit that alleged that Dr. Luke abused her for a decade, including drugging and sexually assaulting her while she was drugged. The case was ultimately dismissed in 2016 due to the statute of limitations and the lack of merit per a judge, and Dr. Luke countersued for defamation. The legal battle settled in 2023, with Kesha stating, quote, "Only God knows what happened that night," and Dr. Luke maintaining his innocence. Now, Perry's decision to work with Dr. Luke on the 143 album, including a single Woman's World marketed as a feminist anthem, drew fierce criticism and for hypocrisy, given the song's empowerment message. Then we've also got the spaceflight and Wendy's jab. So on April 2025, Perry returned from an all-female Blue Origin space mission, which was mocked online for its brevity and Perry's performance of What a Wonderful World in Zero Gravity. Wendy's X account responded to a Pop Crave post about Perry's return with "Can we send her back?", a quip that very quickly went viral. Hours later, Kesha posted a selfie sipping from a Wendy's cup and smirking, which fans and sources interpreted as a deliberate shade supporting Wendy's and targeting Perry's Dr. Luke collaboration. Now, obviously, this doesn't come as a surprise when you kind of understand the context in that sense. Like, she's talking about women empowerment whilst collaborating with a producer that has been accused of SA and drugging a woman who is a fellow collaborator, within the pop culture world. So it was a really interesting move, especially from, all parties involved, really. Now, Wendy's absolutely... whoever runs that social media account absolutely deserves a raise, but it was just an absolute catastrophe from start to finish. What do you guys think, though? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.